world who really don't understand. Freedom has many difficulties, but we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in.
Welcome, everybody. This is the Leo Zagami show with Leo and Christy. Yes, she's here because we had, of course, in the middle of the week, an extravaganza. We had actually a very interesting interview, which I suggest that you watch, with one of the victims of political persecution, because they were real political prisoners of the Biden era. So please check out the interview I made with my friend Daryl Neely. It's a great interview, and we might have another interview next week. We try to bring you 2 shows a week, and of course Saturday. Who are the sponsors of today's show?
Malgazada Minta and Dr. Pharaoh.
The one and only Dr. Pharaoh with his products.
Hi, guys. Hi, my friends from Paradise.
Okay, hello. So, guys, first of all, the strawberry kiwi. This is Christy's favorite product of Dr. Pharaoh, and I want to show it to you on the screen because Dr. Pharaoh is old school. So, if you want to get his products, you have to contact him through his phone number rather than his shop online. He might have one soon. He actually said he might get. But in the meantime, guys, let me show you the great products of Dr. Pharaoh, in particular this product that Christy actually has almost finished.
Yeah, I almost
she had to order more from Dr. Pharaoh. It's a great product.
I like it. It gives me a lot of energy. I took some today. I'm more energetic than you are.
Why you didn't give me?
Because I was running out. I ordered it though. I got it coming.
Here it is. Here it is. And of course, this is the website Lake Wells bar chiropractor.com/BV bar plus.
Okay, so
yes.
If you're just listening to this, you can also go to www.drpharaoh.com and you'll find his website as well.
Let me show you the key benefits. Powerful antioxidant benefits, improves immune function, balanced superfood blend, no added sugar, enzymes, probiotics, and fiber for digestions, over 10 certified organic foods, no stimulants or caffeine, detoxification of body systems, alkalized body, and balances pH, which is something I really suggest you all do, because it helps, guys. This is to improve your immune system, of course. Now, Christine.
Yeah, and I would just like to say that these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration.
Ooh.
These products are not intended to diagnose or cure any disease.
Guys, like I said, this is alternative medicine, but in reality, this is stuff that can really help you out. So get the Buona Vita products. There is, of course, all sorts of products. One I personally use very much is here, and it's the vitamin D3.
He likes it.
I like it, guys. I like it. It's a great product. And I must say, Dr. Faro offers this product for a great price. It costs like $15, I think. And it offers you the possibility of a quality product. Yes, guys, quality. I'm saying quality. Okay. Yeah. You see, you have some news today that you wanted to...
you wanted me to do it at the end. You want me to do it at the beginning?
No, you can do it in little segments. I would like you to discuss that Ozempic thing, because I found it interesting. What was it with Ozempic?
Okay, well, we all hear about Ozempic, and people are taking Ozempic to lose weight, and it's a fast way to lose weight. They say that you can lose like a fifth of the body weight that you want to lose in less than a year. So a lot of women, like, they take off this weight that they...
Not only women, there is also men. Yes, sorry.
I'm distracting my news. Okay. Control yourself. So anyway, Alex. So I should tell you, Alex, that it's 3 times more likely to give you depression and anxiety.
And paranoia.
And you could want to kill yourself if you take it. So it's just better off to do it naturally. I'm telling you.
Okay. Guys, if you want to support the Leo Zagami show, you'll
gain the weight back. You gain the weight back. And it's expensive.
Jeez.
Medicaid doesn't cover that. So you're going to have to pay for it. And it's very expensive. And they sell it also in England, too. It's like 167 pounds.
Actually, in England, it seems to be cheaper than here, huh?
Well, it seemed expensive in England, too.
Okay. No worries, guys. I suggest you really get some quality food, and then we're gonna discuss how you're gonna cook this quality food with the Zagami Family Cookbook, which is another great book of the Zagami Publishing Establishment, known as Cursum Perficio. Guys, today we have to discuss Europe. Europe is committing civilizational suicide. J.D. Vance once again discussed, and she did it just with Laura Ingram yesterday, the problems that are facing Europe. And we have a lot of viewers in Europe.
I know, so don't offend them.
I'm not going to offend anybody. I'm just telling you, well, I had to flee Europe, and there is a reason why I had to flee Europe. So it's the reason which actually J.D. Vance seems to focus on, which is the freedom of expression, the freedom of saying whatever you want, especially when it comes down to immigration matters, to politics. You should have the freedom, to discuss these topics. But in Europe, it seems that's not possible any longer. Please check this clip from Laura Ingram's show to understand more what I'm talking about.
My exclusive sit-down interview with Vice President J.D. Vance. At the end of these 4 years, this last term in office of President Trump, how do you see our relationship with Europe? Do we have more in common with them, or are we more kind of pulling back and taking care of business at home?
So, Laura, I really believe that we have a great deal in common with Europe. And I'm not, yes, the Europeans annoy me sometimes, and yes, I disagree with them on certain issues, but we have to remember that is the cradle of Western civilization. The entire idea of Christian civilization that led to the founding of the United States of America, that was formed in Europe. The cultural bonds, the religious bonds, these things are going to last beyond political disagreements, but I think that Europe and frankly, I would have said this about America a year ago, but Europe is at risk, I think, of engaging in civilizational suicide. They are unable to, or unwilling, too many countries to control their borders. You see them starting to push back against that, and good, that's a good thing. You see them starting to limit the free speech of their own citizens, even as those citizens are protesting against things like the border invasion that got Donald Trump and a number of European leaders elected.
This is the truth, guys. And I mean, finally, we have somebody in the White House who is actually reminding Europe of something that I personally had to suffer. You know, when you are limited in your freedom of speech, of expression, especially as a journalist, especially as an author, and Christie saw what they do in Europe. I mean, they were like breaking through my door because of a post on Facebook or what I said on TV. They have a complete lack of freedom. And America doesn't understand that. I mean, most Americans, of course, go in Europe as tourists. They will never have any problems. But as soon as you engage in their own political discourse, they will come knocking at your door. And this happens, unfortunately, even more often after the pandemic. So Vance is actually reminding these people of their faults, the fact also that their borders and their sovereignty is lacking because they are letting in millions of individuals which are not sharing the same Judeo-Christian background. And now the results are visible to everybody. We have terrorist attacks all over the place, even if most of the times they don't even admit it's a terrorist attack. They blame it on mental health issues and so on. Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christie. Today we are also discussing Orban. Viktor Orban is, as you know, the leader of a place called Hungary that is celebrating their Independence Day. Today, Orban attacked the EU. And also, during this week, we had, actually today, to be exact, Orban did the most fierce attack on the EU. And I'm going to show you what he said, because I think that Orban really embodies probably one of the very few leaders that in Europe is along what Trump is doing here in the United States of America. And for all those people who were very quick in judging Trump, also in the economic sector, let me remind you that the Dow Jones, Wall Street, and everything was up since yesterday. And if you follow the Trump's advice, just a couple of days ago, 3 days ago, when he was doing his thing with Tesla and, and Elon Musk, he actually said, of course, if you invest now, the markets are down, you're going to make a lot of money. So if you just followed Trump's advice and you had some money to invest, now you have more money. Trade wars are difficult, but you have to stick with what Trump is doing, because in the long run, it's going to bring a lot of benefits for this country. It's not going to be easy, of course, to face the idiocy of people in Canada who have just such a limited understanding of things because they live in a country that has brainwashed them. And in Mexico, we don't even have a country, because along with of course, the president of Mexico, you have all the cartels. So I'm telling you guys, trust. I mean, I'm not a QAnon fan, and I will have never said anything like that before, but trust the plan. It's not about QAnon. QAnon is a psyop. I've denounced QAnon, of course, in Volume 7 of my Confessions. It was because of QAnon that a lot of people, unfortunately, did also the mistake of January 6th that cost them their lives, because a lot of those people now are bankrupt and are having similar problems to what Daryl has described in the interview. Yeah. In Volume 7 of my Confessions, I explain how Nancy Pelosi was behind the PSYOP, how the FBI supported it, and everything that I've written turns out to be accurate. And of course, now that Trump delivered a speech at the DOJ yesterday, oh, Trump is after his political adversaries and all this bullshit. It wasn't Trump that changed the way America is, because they were the first to go after a former president in the way they did. So shame on them. We are lucky here to have been able to keep together this show, because we had channels removed left, right, and center. Censorship was taking our living from us. We no longer have a PayPal because of this. We have a GoFundMe, we have Cash App, and that's what was left out of the purge. 5 PayPal accounts closed down with no justification whatsoever given. Threats to our bank account. These kind of things can't be left aside. We have to remind, 5 years after the beginning of the pandemic, we have to remind people what they went through. We went through a nightmare. And if you want to understand more of those origins of COVID that now are starting to be timidly discussed even by the mainstream media, Volume 5 of my confession tells it all as it is. And it's also being confirmed. Now, another thing that J.D. Vance discussed in this brilliant interview with Laura Ingraham was the persecution of Christians in Syria. This is a topic of great importance, especially if you have read Volume 10 of my confessions. You have understood how Bashar al-Assad actually stood for the minorities. And nowadays, instead, we have this mess that is bringing to the mass murder of Christians, aside from the Alawites, by these Salafi jihadists who are now in power. And who is actually supporting the jihadists? Who is receiving them like heroes in Europe? The foreign minister of Syria gets received by the EU in Brussels.
How could they?
Let's continue listening what J.D. Vance says.
I want Europe to thrive. I want them to be an important ally. Part of that is going to be Europe respecting its own people, respecting its own sovereignty, and America can't do that job for them. If you have a country like Germany, where you have another few million immigrants come in from countries that are totally culturally incompatible with Germany, then it doesn't matter what I think about Europe. Germany will have killed itself, and I hope they don't do that, because I love Germany and I want Germany to thrive.
Well, I think, again, the Democrats are claiming they really target you, are stoking a division between Europe and the United States, and that's not going to be easily repaired. And anti-Americanism is increasing in places like Canada and in Europe. Tariffs and other kind of arrogance was the word I heard used.
Well, look, I think friends have to have stark conversations with one another. And the simple truth is that when we look at Europe, we see a great civilization, obviously a great ally of the United States, but we also see some free speech issues that worry us. And we see that they're doing some things on borders that are not just bad for their own countries, but ultimately bad for us. How many of the people who come in unchecked and unvetted into Europe eventually make their way into the United States of America? I think friends can have honest conversations with one another.
We've heard the most disturbing and upsetting reports about what's happening to Christians and other minorities in Syria. The slaughter of women, children, men, given the fall of the Assad regime and what followed. What can, if anything, the administration do given that horrific, it looks like a just horrific massacre?
It looks really bad, Laura, and we're trying to figure out exactly how bad it is, whether this is an isolated incident you see on social media or whether we're talking about a mass genocide. But
this is the problem. Syria was made into the present mess by Joe Biden before he left the White House, his administration, which is actually not his administration, but Barack Hussein Obama, who created ISIS, and of course supported also Al-Qaeda together with Hillary Clinton and all those criminals of the Democrat Party. The Democratic Party, guys, is just an outlet for the Jesuit order. This is something that you will have to understand in the future, and you will understand. Don't worry. I'm going to make sure you understand that. But in any case, I've always denounced the Jesuits. I've always denounced the Vatican. And you have seen what has happened with the second Catholic president in history, Joe Biden. But what J.D. Vance is saying about the persecution of Christians, and nobody talks about it, even the Pope. The Pope seems to have resurrected, at least that's what they say, is getting ready to reform the church further under these woke guidelines. Nobody has seen him, of course, but the woke guidelines are there to reform the church in this synod that needs to be even more progressive. And all this, of course, because the church needs to embrace everything that is anti-Christian. But in regards to the persecution of Christians, I'm going to show you images in regards to what I've been, what J.D. Vance has, of course, just discussed, and what has been happening in the last few days. This is the murder of many Christians in Syria, killed because, of course,
they believe in Jesus, that's why.
But they're not the only ones who are killed. Also the Alawites, who are a Shia minority, are killed because the Salafi, if people simply read volume 10 of my Confessions, which is Islamic Freemasonry and the secret societies behind the eternal war in the Middle East. This is a great book that people should read.
Cleared me up right away.
Unfortunately, a lot of people who are following us are maybe too lazy to read such books. And they are way too quick in criticizing me and my wife when we are simply telling you to try these books. And you're going to see a change in your own awareness once you know certain things.
True.
Trust me. In any case, let's move forward. Viktor Orban has celebrated the Hungarian National Day, and like I said, he has also made some very important statements on X. I want to show you what he has discussed, because Viktor Orban, of course, is an enemy of who? He's a great enemy of George Soros, of Alex Soros. By the way, Soros is also originally Hungarian, even if he's an Hungarian Jew. He's a Sabbatean Frankist. I wanted to show you what Viktor Orban has said, because he has invited the European Commission and the European Parliament to expel all of Soros' agents. And of course, the only media to give us this information is RT, Russia Today. Viktor Orban has urged Brussels to strongly protect the national interest of member states. Christy, can you please read this?
Brussels should take decisive steps towards denying EU membership to Ukraine and ending the influence of foreign agents linked to billionaire George Soros on the bloc's policies. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has stated he has called for the absolute national sovereignty of member states over domestic issues. In a post on X on Saturday, Orban urged Brussels to expel Soros agents from the European Commission and remove corrupt lobbyists from the European
Parliament. I'm going to show you this post because there is various requests that Orban has made in this post on X today, which I find of great importance for us. So here we are. First of all, we demand a Europe of nations. Second, we demand equality before the law for all member states. Then third point, restore the competences unlawfully taken from nations. 4, national sovereignty and a strong veto for national governments. 5th, expel Soros from the Commission, the EU Commission, and remove corrupt lobbies from the Parliament. If J.D. Vance is saying those things, it's because Europe, unfortunately, at the moment is in the hands of those people who were controlling the White House until Trump came to power. I mean, that's why 6, do not mortgage our grandchildren's future, eliminate the union's debt. But you're never going to eliminate the debt if you put on our grandchildren's future in Europe 800 million for Rearm Europe, which is a completely demented project that only the Europeans can have. because now that their industries are going bankrupt, you know what they want to do, Christy? I'm going to show you an article that, of course, is not in the English language, so it needs a little bit of translation here. But it's an important article that was sent by my friend Vincenzo Viceversa, who is also the author of The Closing, you know.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
Absolutely. The music at the end of the show is his, and also the covers of my books. In regards to this article, it's in Italian, but basically it's saying that in Germany they're about to change the actual factories who do Volkswagen cars are about to do instead tanks.
What?
Yes, that's what they are deciding to do. You see, they know that they can't compete, of course, with Chinese cars because they want to implement the electric car in Europe, so they prefer to get them from China. And at the same time, China is getting more and more insidious into Europe. China apparently wants to drop Russia and wants to take control of the whole of Europe. And they're already doing it in a much more insidious way than an out invasion, like just...
they're sneaky.
They're very sneaky. But the fact that the Volkswagen is going to be doing tanks rather than cars reminds us, unfortunately.
It's WW2 again.
Yes, absolutely.
Are they going to come to the houses and pull the people out?
I think that those 500 million Europeans should start rebelling and getting, of course, an idea of a different kind of Europe if they want to still have a continent that is not involved in another world war. But let's see what J.D. Vance says here.
Fortunately, when America encourages these Islamic radicals, Islamic rebels, as they're called by the mainstream media, to take over a country, very often it's religious minorities, especially Christians, that get destroyed. And we do not want to see another Christian community erased from the face of the earth. We're talking to our allies already. We're already doing things in private to try to encourage them to protect the minorities, the Christian minorities, the Druze and so forth that are over there. But it's really scandalous. And we have to remember this, as Donald Trump once said, I believe back in 2013, that very often when the mainstream media gets behind these rebel groups in the Middle East, there are people who want to fly airplanes into our buildings. We have to remember who we're dealing with, and we need to ensure that we protect some of these historical communities because, look, whatever your views on the Iraq war were, the consequence of our invasion of Iraq is that we destroyed one of the great historical Christian communities in the world. We don't want to allow that to happen again. We're certainly not going to put troops in Syria, but there are a lot of things that we can do diplomatically and economically to protect some of those groups.
Well, regarding what is happening with the persecution of Christians in Syria, everything will be decided somehow on Monday in a EU-Syria conference that welcomes those people who are persecuting the Christians and treating them as heroes, because that's what they're doing. They are giving the possibility to these criminals who have this interim government headed by Ahmed al-Sharaa, who made a name for himself as the leader of the Islamist militia, which toppled Assad's regime, but was close to the Al-Qaeda terrorist network and also to ISIS. But of course, humanitarian aid desperately needed and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, we have to see if they're going to give something substantial, because Trump has already announced that he will cut humanitarian aid also to Syria. Thank God we are no longer, we are no longer the cash machine of the world where everybody can come and pick up money. Thanks God, Trump has changed this.
Thank goodness.
Has changed this. Remember to support the Leo Zagami show. You can do it, of course, with Dr. Faro's products, Buona Vita, I say, which means good life. And we use really Dr. Faro's products in our daily lives. I use vitamin D free. Christy seems to like very much BB plus, strawberry kiwi. You can find them, like Christy said, on Dr. Faro's website. So people, of course, tell me, but where is Dr. Faro? He has a couple of websites. Let me show you the main one, because there is also a phone number, and he is a doctor that can actually help you out, guys. If you're living in Florida, he's a great doctor, and not just an alternative medicine doctor. He's a proper doctor that can give you some great advice and great care. So excellence in medicine. This is the website which I'm putting on the screen with Dr. Faro. Start your new journey. The phone number to also order his products is 863-676-2225.
And that's also www.drfaro.com.
So please call him and get his great products. Like I said, strawberry kiwi is one of our favorite.
I like the other one too, though, the espresso.
BB Plus.
I always have it.
BB Plus helps you out. Let me put my glasses on, because, of course, 55. You have to put the glasses on.
Actually, I don't even wear anything.
Well, but
I stopped, and I needed glasses, and I don't need them. And I went to the DMV, and I took my driver's test without my glasses, and I passed.
Absolutely.
And I only take Lutin. So
yeah, when it's written smaller ever. So powerful antioxidant and support to immune function. Over 45 different superfoods. Enzymes, probiotics, and fiber for digestion, alkalize body and supports detoxification. All this with excellent organic products, guys, because it's not only about, products and supplements. It's about products with quality, guys. Yes, this is the real revolution.
Oh, I can't control myself now. I'm gonna go crazy.
Okay.
Alex Jones.
Yes, he just joined us. Alex, tell us more. You have to get Dr. Faro's products. This is a real innovation, a real revolution.
We're gonna get kicked off.
Well, Band Video. Band Video. Of course, a lot of people follow some Band Video. We send our regards to all the info warriors who are tuned in.
Who have half a brain.
Yes.
I said it.
If you have more than half a brain, you're definitely following us, and you will be also purchasing Dr. Faro's products. So let's move on. We have a lot to say about the subject of today, because, like I said, it's about understanding what's going on in Europe, to understand also what's going on here in America. Because America, it's a place that could have turned just as bad as Europe if they elected Kamala Harris, just so you know.
Boy, oh boy.
Now, at the moment, Europe is facing really one of their biggest problems, which is the energy system. They call it, the fact that they don't have any more Russia giving them oil, giving them gas, is a big problem for Europe. And in fact, the prices are skyrocketing in Europe. Of course, for us here in America, it's quite good, because they purchase gas from us, paying 30% more, and we have actually just done with them a 10-year contract. So we are making money out of it. But Europeans, I don't know about that. A sudden Arctic blast will bring freezing temperatures to major European countries, it says here. Europe's natural gas storage is only at 36% capacity, significantly lower than last year. European gas futures are rising due to anticipated higher demand.
So where will Italy get their gas?
They are in big trouble, the Europeans, and all because.
What about your mama?
Well,
Where is she gonna get her gas from? Is she gonna have to chop down all the trees? And put them in her wood
Well,
stove.
she's very practical.
But she's very WW too.
Yeah, she's still in World War II. She's still talking about the Germans, and she going at the table with the missiles arriving, the B-2. So I mean, she's still.
And she was only like 3 or 4. So.
I mean, she's kind of in that mentality, you know. And she doesn't like the Germans, but the Germans
doesn't like Germans
the
whatsoever.
Germans are actually one of the reasons why Europe is in the present situation. Ursula von der Leyen has been called by Lavrov a Führer. But then you have also that Nazi of Volodymyr Zelensky. Volodymyr Zelensky, you know, he seemed to have publicly accepted initially this truce, but in reality, soon after, he started to criticize Vladimir Putin, saying this and that about him. Check him out.
З Росії дуже передбачувані, дуже маніпулятивні слова Путіна у відповідь на ідею тиші на фронті. Він фактично готує відмову станом на зараз. Путін, звісно, боїться сказати прямо президенту Трампу, що хоче продовжувати цю війну. Хоче вбивати українців.
What's happening is, guys, that he doesn't want any peace, and he's actually even willing to sacrifice thousands of soldiers who have now been surrendered in Kursk. You remember last year, because of Joe Biden, these idiots of Ukrainians and their armed forces went further into the Russian Federation, and the Russians let them in. You know, I mean, you have to understand, Putin is very good at playing chess. And a lot of people wondered, why is he letting all these these Ukrainian armed forces deep into their territory? They went so deep into their territory that now he surrounded them and he can use them as bargaining chips. That was the reason why he let them do whatever they wanted to do. But in the meantime, of course, they had a lot of criminal behavior. So Trump had to intervene. Trump had to actually beg Putin to spare their lives. And this is the reply of Vladimir Putin, because Putin said, okay, I'm going to spare their lives. But the problem, because there is a problem, is that these guys have committed crimes. Because if you go into a country, you rape their women, steal their money, set their houses on fire and all that, you cannot simply, be let, okay, go back home, fine, tranquil. So Putin's answer to Trump is what you need to understand better, because in the meantime, Starmer, who with the coalition of the willing, soon I'm going to show you what he said. He said, Putin is not really, I mean, everybody's saying, even Zelensky, Putin is taking time. No, Putin is simply using common sense. He's saying, okay, we have 2,000 kilometers of border. We have these soldiers that are stuck in the Russian Federation that should have never been here in the first place and who have committed crimes. We need to get, to do a deal. Now, we had the Trump delegation in Moscow. We're going to be talking about this deal in a minute. In the meantime, let me show you what Vladimir Putin has been discussing.
Good evening.
Here we are. I'm gonna show you, this is a very important video in which you can finally understand why Putin is taking his time. Because, guys, it's not a simple thing, getting to a truce and getting to a stable peace that's gonna become an enduring peace, especially when Zelensky seems to have no intention whatsoever. Here we are. Just a second. Let me start.
Esteemed colleagues, good evening. We will begin our work, and on today's agenda, we have a scheduled issue regarding the restoration of Russian-American relations. We know that the new administration, led by President Trump, is doing everything possible to restore at least something from what was practically reduced to zero, destroyed by the previous American administration. This process is not simple, to say the least. It is complex. Nevertheless, as is well known, I have had a telephone conversation with President Trump. The first contacts between our Minister of Foreign Affairs and his American counterpart have taken place, and the Russian presidential aide Yuri Ushakov has met with his counterparts. So, in general, the situation is beginning to move. We will see what comes of it. This is the topic we will be dealing with today. We have two speakers, Sergei Viktorovich Lavrov and Sergei Evgenyevich Naryshkin. But before we begin, I would like to say that we have familiarized ourselves with today's appeal by the President of the United States, Mr. Trump, to spare the lives of Ukrainian army servicemen, some of whom are blocked by Russian troops in the invasion zone of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region. In this regard, we draw attention to the fact that Ukrainian militants have committed numerous crimes against civilians in the invasion zone. These acts, as I have already stated, are classified by the General Prosecutor's Office of the Russian Federation as terrorism. At the same time, we understand President Trump's appeal to approach these servicemen with humanitarian considerations. In this regard, I emphasize that in the event of laying down their arms and surrendering, their lives and decent treatment will be guaranteed in accordance with international law and the laws of the Russian Federation. For the effective implementation of the U.S. President's appeal, an appropriate order from Ukraine's military political leadership to its military units to lay down their arms and surrender is necessary. I propose moving on to the agenda for which we have gathered today.
So, the agenda they have gathered today was to discuss what happened when Trump's emissary ambassador arrived in Moscow, and already the mainstream press has spread lies about it. The fake news said that Putin let him wait for, Putin's delegation let him wait for 9 hours. Complete rubbish. Let's see what Trump has said here. The fake news, as usual, ask it again. Why can't they be honest? Last night I read that President Vladimir Putin kept my highly respected ambassador and special envoy, Steve Witkoff, waiting for over 9 hours, when in fact there was no wait whatsoever. Other meetings with other representatives of Russia did take place, and obviously they took some time, but they were very productive. So, lies, you see, lies from the media. This is, Trump says, why they have lost the rating, their audience, and respect. And this is also why Trump yesterday accused them during his speech at the DOJ, accusing them of totally illegal reporting. Now, when you say illegal reporting, why illegal reporting? Because when you are lying about things like Witkoff in Moscow, and you say 9 hours when it's not 9 hours, offending, of course, the Russians in the meantime, that is illegal reporting. So media height and all these leftists who, of course, criticize Trump since yesterday, saying, well, this is an unprecedented attack by Trump at the DOJ. The unprecedented attack was when Jack Smith sent the FBI to raid Trump and all the bullshit that they did, which was unprecedented. Unprecedented. So we're not demanding here, political persecution of what? Of these Democrats. They're already persecuted in their heads by their own demons. You don't need to persecute them. They're a bunch of losers. This week, of course, we have seen what happened, with the passing of the spending bill, Chuck Schumer intervening, and Chuck Schumer accepted the fact that if he blocked the whole thing, it would actually then backfire. That's why he did it. But he couldn't help them himself, and he called the Republicans bastards.
Conflict on the best ground we have, summed up in a sentence, that they're making the middle class pay for tax cuts for billionaires. It's much, much better not to be in the middle of a shutdown, which to divert people from the number one issue we have against these bastards. Sorry.
I mean, when you have
How
somebody,
can you say that?
I mean, and then
That's
of
not
course
very
AOC
professional.
wasn't happy because he passed the spending bill. He helped the bill being passed. I mean, these people are in a complete warfare with themselves and with their own brains because they are demonic. That's what they are. They're not a political party of normal individuals. He basically bowed down to Trump because he let the bill pass. But then, you know, he has to. Let's go back to Zelensky, who is supposed to embrace peace, who is supposed to go back to the White House. I think this guy has no intention of reaching a ceasefire because he is simply a tool of the EU. The EU knows very well that to achieve independence, military speaking, from America, they have to do something similar to what they have done during the pandemic, an emergency order, 800 billion that needs to be forced upon the people through a series of taxes and whatnot, and sacrifices. The Europeans will be eating shit for the next 3 generations if they continue with their plan.
Get smart.
And they need to wake up about it. So Europeans, if you're following us today through the Leo Zagami show, which we know is very followed in Europe and also in Great Britain, remember, this is the beginning of a nightmare for you if you don't rebel. But to rebel, you have to do an act of true rebellion, like 1776.
Well, that takes more than one person.
Absolutely.
And they're all censored. How are they supposed to come together when they're all censored?
You have, listen, if 200 years ago, 300 years ago, people were capable of putting together countries, doing revolutions like the French Revolution, they use methods of discretion, create secret societies of a political nature. I talk in one of my confessions about how, you know, the aims of secret societies. You can create a secret society with a specific political aim. It happened with the Italian Carbonari when it came to the unification of Italy.
I think you all need a secret society
to get back Europe to the right. To the right place, because at the moment it's definitely a continent which is thinking, and is thinking following this demon called Zelensky.
It's not fair.
Максимально швидко з нашими партнерами. Головне – це здатність наших партнерів забезпечити готовність Росії не обманювати, а реально завершувати війну. Зараз російські удари не припиняються. Щоночі під 100 шахедів проти України. Постійно ракетні удари. І є, на жаль, влучання по нашій цивільній інфраструктурі, по портах, зокрема в Одесі. І вчора там було ураження цивільного судна. Якраз вантажили пшеницю. Напрямок Алжир. Люди загинули. Громадяни Сирії. Мої співчуття. Були також поранені. Їм надано необхідну допомогу. Будь-яке намагання Росії петляти буде чітким доказом для всіх, що саме Росія не хоче миру. З чіткими висновками світу. Я дякую всім, хто допомагає нам захищати життя і хто працює заради надійного гарантування безпеки. Зараз час, коли багато що вирішується. Я дякую.
This guy just doesn't want to give up, no, Christy? I mean, Christy said it the last week. I mean, this guy has no intention whatsoever.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, he doesn't have any intention to give up. And I mean, of course, Trump is forcing him, like Putin suggested, into a peace deal. But I think that in the end, the only way is going to be to substitute him, because now they are refusing even the possibility of delivering elections during a truce. Now, we said that the main excuse to not convey new elections and nominate a new president for Ukraine was that they are in war. If they have a truce, they are obviously not in war. But his foreign minister has already said, no, we're not going to convey any elections. So, you have something to say?
No,
to this discourse?
Spam.
Okay, guys. Let me, of course, move forward with more news here from the Leo Zagami show. Welcome, everybody. If you want to support us, you can do it, and you can do it with GoFundMe or with the Cash App. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show you the GoFundMe link here on the screen. Who are the sponsors of today, Christy?
Nogrizada Minta and Dr. Farrow.
So, Buona Vita, eh? Buona Vita. Well, we love Buona Vita. Absolutely. We love Buona Vita, and we want to welcome everybody to our show on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, on Bando Video, on the Rumble, on BitChute. I mean, we have so many people who follow us on so many different platforms. So it's a show that it's going around. It's going around. You had some other information that you gathered today of importance, especially in regards to P. Diddy. You said he was particularly bloated. Why is that?
No, but he made an appearance March 7th in court, and they were saying that he looked very old and fat, and he had gray hair. So he's not doing that great in prison. So, but people saw that were there, but then they report, his team always reports that he's doing well, and also he pleaded not guilty to that, so no surprise there. And then some little bit with Gavin Newsom. He's got this new podcast.
Well, yeah, he had also Steve Bannon, and that was pretty controversial, not only for his own governorship, because now he's been accused of being MAGA.
Yeah, they're saying, well, on The View, they're saying he's despicable, and that he's doing this MAGA podcast.
Can I say something? I think that personally, if Governor Newsom invites people who are from the other side, he's engaging in a democratic confrontation, which I find very positive, actually. I think that...
Don't trust that guy.
No, I'm not saying that I would trust Gavin Newsom in anything. The guy is like a really used car salesman of the ultimate
He's
kind.
a great candidate for the Antichrist if you look at him.
Absolutely. But trust me, the fact that he is even capable of dialoguing with the other side.
Well, I guess so.
He is a slippery snake, like somebody suggesting here in the chat. But we have to admit that at least he has done something. He's
got some sneaky kind of thing under it that he's doing. Don't trust him.
But it's not going his way, because with both the conservative people he had on his show, he actually, in the end, was he failed in putting through his own opinions, I think. With Steve Bannon, he completely failed in promoting anything of his own agenda. And of course, the guy also he thinks of himself very highly.
He has a bust made.
Yeah.
It costs $100K.
Okay.
Taxpayer money. And he's got it in the in one of the buildings in San Francisco, like one of the government buildings, and he's being criticized for that. And also he wants to a loan for $3.4 billion for because he says that there's not enough money for the health care in California to pay for the illegal immigrants. Really?
Well, the Los Angeles Times has criticized his podcast with both Kirk and Bannon. He says, with friends like Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk, Newsom may talk himself to political death.
He was talking against he said something against the trans like last week.
Oh, no, with Charlie Kirk, yes,
Yeah.
he admitted something that, of course, we all know is unfair to have trans men participating in women's sports. I mean, that is simply a common sense fact that he stated. But here in California, it's forbidden to be common sense. Remember, guys, you have to be out of your mind. You have to be like, ooh, you have to be all over the place, especially for transgenders, because if you start criticizing transgender here in California, they're going to put you on a blacklist. You're going to be sent to I don't know, some reprogramming camp, mind control
Democrat
camp.
gulag.
You got Democrat gulag or brainwashing.
That's actually a mental hospital. That's where they send you.
In regards to Trump's attempted assassination on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, you know, I have always exposed Thomas Crooks as not a solitary individual, but as part of a well-orchestrated plot. More and more evidence is coming together to support what I have written in this book that has been out for a few months and that you should all get, because this is about the past, present, and future of mind control. And it also talks about the wrongful and manipulative use of certain substances like Prozac and other substances that are used to cure mental health. I think that these days, all these new apps that say they cure mental health and that basically bypass the ordinary way of seeing a psychiatrist, a psychologist, are really leading you to an even more dark path, especially because these apps are also open to very young individuals from 6-7 years of age. They can go on their phone and then ask for help. When I was 6 or 7, I don't know things. I mean, what is the mental health of a 6, 7 or 8 or 9 years old? I mean, this is getting really very bad, because then cyber Satan comes in. If you are giving yourself up to an app, then there is, of course, the AI generated factor, aside from the mental health professions that might help in that regards. But let's move on, because the Leo Zagami show has a lot more to offer you. And today, of course, me and my wife are here live from Palm Springs, California, with all the latest. And we have been discussing how Europe is, of course, committing civilizational suicide, and how, of course, Zelensky doesn't want any kind of peace whatsoever. But at the same time, guys, China is preparing. China is preparing to invade Taiwan, and this is alleged evidence of it. It reminds me a little bit of the stuff that was built up for Normandy, you know, when the Allied forces arrived in Normandy. The fact that China is preparing to arrive in Taiwan, I think that the plan is the following. At this point, Taiwan has, of course, promised Donald J. Trump to build their own microchip factory here in the United States of America. That will be, of course, of great help, because then we don't have to rely on Taiwan anymore. And maybe, who knows, if Taiwan could lose their independence at that point, then we might instead gain Greenland. Panama is, of course, now there is a project with the military in the making. A lot of people are saying, but why does Trump, have these imperial aspirations altogether? Guys, this is a world where you have three great players, and it's America, it's China, and it's Russia. And if you don't play the game, you're going to be ate alive. And China was ready to take over the Panama Canal. They already did, actually. And if it wasn't for Trump's intervention, we would have had some very serious problems of national security. The same also for Greenland. Of course, people are saying, oh, well, Greenland. But Greenland has actually, just this week, elected the party that wants their independence. They want to leave Denmark. Denmark is a brainwashed socialist country filled up with Masons of the worst kind. People who don't know Europe, of course, don't know Denmark. I know Denmark, and I can tell you, they're better off on their own. Yes, they're definitely better off on their own. So this was the moment in which the talked about
potential annexation of Greenland and getting the potential.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll happen, and I'm just thinking, I didn't give it much thought before, but I'm sitting with a man that could be very instrumental. You know, Mark, we need that for international security, not just security, international. We have a lot of our favorite players, cruising around the coast, and we have to be careful. And we'll be talking to you. It's a very appropriate, really a very appropriate question.
It's an issue in the high north, so the Arctic. So what you did, so when it comes to Greenland, yes or not joining the US, I would leave that outside for me, this discussion, because I don't want to drag NATO in that. But when it comes to the high north and the Arctic, you are totally right. The Chinese are now using these routes. We know that the Russians are rearming. We know we have a lack of icebreakers. So the fact that the outside Russia, there are 7 Arctic countries working together on this under US leadership is very important to make sure that that region, that part of the world stays safe. And we know things are changing.
Things are changing. Things are changing. But will Europe change for the worst? Well, it seems that's the case, unfortunately.
With Zelensky, with the president. Okay, this was like everyone was getting along, and so I've seen a lot of vice.
This is the moment in which, of course, Laura Ingram asked about the meeting with Zelensky and what happened there at the White House. I really think that what J.D. Vance did is historic. And I think that the fact that he actually is not a silent vice president. He's not just a passive vice president of the past, like Kamala, she was completely demented. But I'm talking about Pence, of course, who was completely passive. And then we saw he was really a snake in disguise. Pence was a Catholic snake in disguise who was working for the Jesuits. And in the end, he showed his true colors. J.D. Vance is showing himself to be very loyal, but also to be himself a guy with some clear ideas that could improve the country even after the end of Trump's presidency. So I see the possibility of a J.D. Vance presidency, or at least a candidacy for the presidency. Then we're going to see what other Republican candidates come together. Now, guys, we are moving on because we have a lot to discuss still, but in very short time. And I wanted to show you how thick are these people, especially these Democrats in Oregon, who have on the Oregon Mental Health Advisory Board a guy who thinks he's a turtle.
Hello, everybody. It's JD, turtle and pronouns. Pronouns are turtle and they, them. Hello, everybody. It's JD. I use they, them, or turtle for pronouns. Hello, everybody. It's JD, they, them, and turtle for pronouns in the Springfield, Eugene area.
A turtle for pronouns. What's wrong with these people? What's wrong with these people? Thank God Kamala didn't become president, because otherwise we will have people going around as turtles, monkeys, and God knows what. I mean, we're really the disgrace of this game. But let's go back to Starmer, because I want to go back to Europe. And the incredible thing of today, today we know that Great Britain did Brexit. They came out of the European Union. But the paradox is that Starmer, the British Prime Minister, is heading the reunion of the European willing with all the EU representatives. I think that finally Great Britain is showing who they really are. The occult manipulators of Europe, using Freemasonry, using their own occult power through, of course, the monarchy that has always controlled large parts of the Masonic obediences in Europe, because it's a tradition. No? The United Kingdom of England has priority over all other Masonic obediences, and they are the ones to decide for the regularity. Check out what Starmer is saying here, and check out what Starmer is saying here comparing to what Putin, with common sense, has said in regards to, you know, how we should bring along this peace.
This week has shown, particularly the developments and progress on Tuesday, is that President Zelensky, who's with us this morning, has shown once again that Ukraine is the party of peace, because he has agreed to and committed to a 30-day unconditional ceasefire. Now what we see, and this is centrepiece for our discussions today, is that Putin is the one trying to delay. If Putin is serious...
No, Putin is not trying to delay, idiot, you are a liar. Putin is simply bringing you some conditions of common sense. That's why he also went a couple of days ago in front of a bunch of journalists, and he specified certain things that need to occur in order...
The first question to Vladimir.
So, this is Putin's common sense.
In reality, I am absolutely convinced that the Ukrainian side must have been requesting this from the Americans in the most insistent manner, based on the situation that is unfolding on the ground, as has just been mentioned here. And how is it unfolding?
He's talking about Kursk now, the incursion in Kursk.
Surely many have noticed and seen that yesterday I was in the Kursk region, listening to reports from the chief of the general staff, the commander of the North Group, and his deputy regarding the situation in the border area, primarily in the Kursk region, or rather, in the zone of incursion into the Kursk region. What is happening there? The situation is completely under our control, and the group that invaded our territory is in isolation. It is complete isolation and full fire control.
It was because of this that Trump at one point called for an emergency phone call with Putin, because, guys, he has basically surrounded few thousand Ukrainian soldiers that he could kill at any moment under fire control. He said it himself. And so, I mean, it's a trap. It was a trap from the start. Yeah, of course they let them in. It costs also the sacrifice probably of a lot of houses and lives in the Russian Federation to let these idiots from the Ukrainian armed forces in. But now he owns them. And that's a bargaining chip like no other, trust me.
And over the Ukrainian troops inside this incursion zone has been lost. And while in the early stages, literally a week or two ago, Ukrainian servicemen were trying to leave in small groups, now this is impossible. They are now attempting to escape in very small groups, 2 or 3 people, because everything is under our full fire control. The equipment has been completely abandoned. It is impossible to remove it, and it will remain there. That is already guaranteed. And if physical encirclement occurs in the coming days, then no one will be able to leave at all. There will only be 2 options: surrender or die. And under these conditions, it seems to me that for the Ukrainian side, achieving a ceasefire for at least 30 days would be very beneficial. And we are in favor, but there are nuances. What are they? First, what are we going to do with this incursion zone in the Kursk region? If we cease hostilities for 30 days, what does that mean? that everyone who is there will leave without a fight. Are we supposed to let them go after they have committed numerous crimes against civilians? Or will the Ukrainian leadership give them the order to lay down their arms and simply surrender? How will this work? It is unclear. And how will other issues along the entire line of contact be resolved? That is almost 2,000 kilometers, and there, as you know, Russian troops are advancing on practically all sections of the combat line. Conditions are also being created there to encircle rather large units. So how will these 30 days be used? To continue forced mobilization in Ukraine? To deliver more weapons there? To train newly mobilized units? Or will none of this happen? Then the question arises, how will issues of control and verification be resolved? How can we be assured, and how will it be guaranteed to us, that nothing like this will take place? How will control be organized? I hope that, at the level of common sense, this is clear to everyone. These are all serious questions. And who will be giving the orders to cease hostilities? And what is the value of these orders? Just imagine, almost 2,000 kilometers. Who will determine where and by whom a possible ceasefire agreement has been violated along these 2,000 kilometers? And then, who will be blaming whom for violating this agreement? These are all questions that require thorough examination from both sides. Therefore, the idea itself is correct, and we certainly support it, but there are questions that we need to discuss.
Questions that we need to discuss, and that Starmer, of course, doesn't want to discuss. Here is Starmer lying.
It's very simple. He has to stop his barbaric attacks on Ukraine and agree to a ceasefire. And the world is watching.
What's going to happen?
I mean, it's going to happen if you know, that's why Putin and Trump don't want the Europeans and neither the Brits at this point into this discussion for reaching peace, a stable peace, but also stable truce before the peace agreement, because they don't want it and they are not able to say, okay, how are we going to defend these 2,000 kilometers? What are we going to do with these thousands of soldiers in Russian territory that have been surrounded? Why are they not deposing their weapons, formally surrendering? Because that's the only way they're going to be spared their lives. And then there is these people who on the chat keep on saying, but Trump went to Fordham University, which we know is a Jesuit university, but you know fuck all of the truth behind it until Leo Zagami is going to explain you that. And I'm not going to explain it now because I have a big surprise for all of you that is going to shut you up for the rest of the year and probably of the century and of the next 1,000 years, because it's a topic that requires an in-depth analysis that I'm not capable of doing now in a couple of minutes before I salute you. I want to thank, though, Dr. Faro, because, guys, I have all this energy thanks to his products and his Buona Vita with Dr. Faro, guys. And you can find Dr. Faro, of course, on his website, Christy, which is
www.drfaro.com.
And there is a bunch of great products, guys, that Dr. Faro is offering. And you can, of course, contact him. He's old school. At the moment, he doesn't have a shop online. But trust me, This is the best doctor you can ever encounter, and you can do it just by calling him at 863-676-2225 if you are close to his clinic, which is, Christy, in Lake Wales, no?
Yeah, Lake Wales,
in Florida. Guys,
I love Florida.
these are all great
That's
products.
my second
Trust me,
favorite
great
state.
products. We want to also thank Margot Rosada Minta and all the people who believe in us, in our show. Guys, we need your support.
Please buy a book. We've sold 0 books yesterday, 2 books today. It's not very good. We didn't really sell any books from Wednesday on, so I don't know what's going on.
So, if you want to support our
I guess
show,
everybody has the book, but
well, there is a lot of books, guys. I'm sure that a lot of people don't have all the books.
it's the way to support us.
You need to get these books.
If you can't donate.
We no longer have them on the InfoWars stores because, how can I say this? We have censored Zagami on the InfoWars store. This is the truth. I'm Alex Jones, and I confirm this.
You're so right.
I'm going to see you at the InfoWars store no more. Okay. Okay, guys.
Okay.
How was that?
All right. I don't need that anymore. You can put that mask away. It's going to give me a nightmare.
It's going to give me a nightmare.
So
get Dr. Farrell's products instead.
Oh my God. Firmity.
Sorry, I'm scared.
I want to throw up right now.
Okay, guys. Of course, we end up this show with the music of our friend Vincenzo Viceversa, which is always great, and he's also the author of all our book covers. But for the images of this video, they are of our friend Albert from Telepandemia. We see you during the week. We might have a big surprise
In that
week. Yes, a big surprise and another interview. Christy might be with me for this interview because it's a very important one. I don't know if I'm going to pull it off, but it should be on Wednesday. So we see you again on Wednesday with the Leo Zagami Show. Yes.
In the negative utopia, science, technology, social organization, dehumanization. In the negative utopia, science, technology, social organization.
Fermi tutti, as they say in Italy.
Oh no.
The Zagami Family Cookbook. Today, guys, Christy made 2 pizzas that were phenomenal. Let me show you the pizzas that Christy made here in the house. We don't have a wooden oven or anything.
I have a crappy oven from California.
Crappy oven from California. But let me show you what kind of pizza Christy put out today. I was serious.
It's really good.
This was one of the best margaritas. Let me show you the margarita pizza. Are you ready?
Getting better. I don't know why.
You can read the recipe how to make this pizza on Christy's book. Check out. Great pizza. Fantastic pizza. This is a margherita. But she also made another kind of pizza with the, how you call carciofi? Artichoke. And this was my favorite. Still have a few slices. I'm going to heat them up now. Guys, you can learn how to make this incredible pizza by purchasing the Zagami Family Cookbook.
I might make a YouTube just to show everybody how to make the pizza because it takes a little bit, to do it. So, I mean, it's a technique.
Uh-huh.
So once you learn the technique and you never change your technique, you'll be successful. For me, I'm always trying to be better and better and better. And so I think if I change my technique, it'll be better. But it really is like foolproof. So
yeah,
I haven't made a nasty pizza in a really long time.
Trust me. And they're very expensive when you buy them these days. So if you can make them in your own kitchen, that's really good. You too. Bye-bye.
technology, social organization, dehumanization. Technology, social organization.